I'll give it to Russell Morris Williamson Jr., named after my father.
Yes. And I, Margaret June Horn Williamson. And my mother wanted me named after her cousin, and then because my birthday's in June, I got June.
Okay.
But I married him, and that's how I got Williamson.
Well, the least where I think they came from, my grandma and grandpa on my mother's side came from Germany. My dad's side, I don't know.
Goshen, I believe.
Ocean, well, I mean, so that's where that's come from. I mean, one that was there was the Warners.
Warner.
Then he passed away, and Reiner married Gravel, and that's where the Reiners come. Other than that, it's I don't know whereabouts in Germany, but that's where it was.
Okay, I think long ago we could have come from England, Great Britain, somewhere, although I have no proof of anything. It's just that whether Larry might have come across something. The Horn side, it sounds German, but I don't know. They settled more down in Bourbon and Bremen, down in the middle section a little bit more. Yeah.
Born here in Elkhart,
Here in
Indiana. Not here, but Elkhart, Indiana.
Yeah. He was born in the hospital
Okay.
in 1927. Yeah, and I was born at my grandma Galt's house at 1517 Stevens Avenue in Elkhart, Indiana.
Year.
Year, 1929, Depression year.
Okay.
That's pretty hard. I mean, it seems like my memory is very lapsed on what I was growing up as a kid. I know we lived across the ball diamond of Khan's ball team. I hung around there, watched games there as a kid. When you couldn't get in, I'd climb up on my grandma's roof and watch the ball game from there. And if any balls come over the fence, they had ones that would chase for the balls and get them. And if I see where a ball went, I leave it there. I'll go down and pick it up later. So it seemed like I was tied up with a lot of ball playing. My dad played ball when he was worked in CG Cons, and I watched those ball games. Dad would get a bunch of us kids together, boys, and had us dress up like girls, and we played the girls' team for dressed up, and it was a lot of fun that way. Then it just seemed like I went up into high school and was playing basketball there and some baseball. And so that's, I know I did go to the river and swim there. Like I said, I was growing up a lot around the Ball Diamond and watched teams come there to play. They even had the House of David come there one year. And so that's pretty much what I was into.
I think I remember when my sister Helen was born. I remember standing on Grandma Galt's porch and Dr. Elliott drove up at the driveway. Now, I'm only 3 years older than she, but I can remember Dr. Elliott coming because he's going to get me a baby. And I named her too.
Not as far as
Full.
brothers and sisters. I have half brothers and sisters. My dad remarried,
Okay.
and he had two girls and two boys. One boy committed suicide.
They were our kids' age. We send Christmas cards to all three of them, and Patty Kay, she came in October after we were married, so I've known her all of her life. But she usually sends us a letter. And then Patty Kay is, no, that was Rosalind. Rosalind's the oldest one. Patty Kay is Wayne's age. Yes, I have a brother that's a year and a half younger than I, and then two sisters, 3 years and 6 years younger than me. And we have been together, the last time was in April of this year. But Aunt Helen has Alzheimer's, and she's in the dementia, and she's already blinded from it. And we all feel that as far as Helen has gone. Her body is here, but she doesn't function like she used to do. That's hard to take when you say goodbye to someone and they're still here. So.
I went to Beardsley School, and that was only a block from home. And then from there, I went to junior high and high school, Elkhart High. And that's where I went to school. That's the end of my school years.
Now you graduated high school.
No,
Okay.
I was drafted into the Army
At what age? At what age?
at 18.
18. So you didn't finish your senior year, or?
I was half-year child. I had failed in Beardsley School, 1 grade, and they held me back for a half year. And so when I was drafted in the Army, I was at the half year. I would have had a half year more to go in high school. So I served my time in the Army.
Okay. Did they give you a GED?
They gave me a
Diploma.
diploma when I got out.
Okay.
Yeah, an only child, and they did not allow him to graduate.
Mm.
That just
Well,
didn't seem
there's
fair to me.
Still was fighting at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what year was that?
45,
45.
I believe it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shortly afterwards, they signed a treaty to stop the war, but I still was in service.
Yeah.
I went from, if you don't mind, I went from there to, was drafted at Indianapolis, Indiana. Then I was on a troop train down to Florida to Camp Blanding. I served 3 months there. From there, we had 2 weeks furlough. I came home And then I got back on the train, went to New York, board a troop train, and it was a mess that first day there. And they were all, a lot of them were sick. Traveled from there over to Italy.
By boat.
Huh?
By boat.
By boat, yeah. But while we were in the Atlantic Ocean, we went into a terrific storm. And it seemed like you would look out, you were being swallowed by the waves and all that. And it seemed like when we would hit the front wall wave, we'd just sit there and shatter. And then after that, we got out of that storm, got into the Mediterranean, had another storm, but not as bad, and landed in Naples. I served in Naples, Italy, and around there for almost 2 years, the rest of my 2-year term. And I flew home from, I didn't fly home, flew from there up to Leghorn, got onto another boat and came home. But everything went real well then.
So you were in the Army
I was
in Italy for 2
Italy.
years.
Just about 2 years,
Okay.
World War II.
You said that it was close to the end of the war.
Yeah,
Did you see any action?
I see no action. I see my first duties there when we got there in Naples was guarding German prisoners. And I served there about a month or 2 months. Then I was transferred there out to a depot about 30 to 40 miles from Naples. And we were there picking up weapons carriers and jeeps and what have you, getting them if they could fix them up so they could sell them. There was also a lot of ammunition laying around that we had Italian soldiers guard them, and we'd have to go out and check on them and see if things were all right. Then I came back down to Naples after we disbanded the whole camp. Then went back down to Naples for a little while. Then flew up to Leghorn, got on a boat, and came home. That was my service time.
So overall, your time in the service, good.
What?
Your time in service, good, bad, or just
Oh, I would say it
there?
was good. I didn't see anything bad. That we had good fellowship with other soldiers. We had a ball team. We didn't get to play much ball, but we did play ball. I had to send home for my glove. I had to take, when I was serving, when I came back down from the other place, they just abandoned, came back down to Naples. I was on guard duty at the gate. And here comes a big weapons carrier rolling out. They stopped past me and was going down the road. I was going to pick up my rifle and shoot at him. The sergeant of guard there says, no, leave it go. Found out that the fella had a girl in trouble. He had a truckload of tires and he was selling them to take care of her. So they got me a job to going up to Pisa. They had 2 prisoners who were going to transfer from there to Pisa, so I got to take 2 prisoners up to Pisa. I got to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and that was mainly the most I got to travel around.
Didn't you say that you saw the Isle of Capri also?
Oh yeah, I got to go out to the island of Capri, and that's a place. It was nice, but the water was all right, but it was crowded. A lot of servicemen out there.
okay?
other than that, I was enjoyed it. I can't say anything bad about what my service time was.
Okay, my school was Oslo. I got to ride a bus. And I was there for 6 years. I can name all my teachers except my second grade. I cannot remember her name. I can see her. Can't remember her name. Then we moved to the city, and I got to walk 7 blocks to school every morning, go home for lunch, go back to school, and then go home at the end of the day. I went to Central Junior High School, where Dad went to, and Elkhart High School. I was in the high school choir for 3 years. That was the best part of school. Mr. Gowdy was our director. He joined the Navy when the war came along, and so we got Miss Corns instead of Mr. Gowdy. But I graduated in 1947 on a Thursday night, and I started work on Friday morning at CG Con. And I worked there till I had my first child. Larry came May the 9th of 49. Wayne came May 17th of 51. Devon came March 18th of 53. Jimmy came November 5th of 54. And then our little princess came November 6th of 57. And then on my 30th birthday, I had my last son, so I had a pretty good present for my last birthday with my 6 children. Larry graduated and went to Ball State. They had a trimester system, not a semester system. So they had 3 divisions in their school year. And he went 1 whole year, and then he was getting really uneasy about what war was it after that?
Oh boy.
He just felt that he needed to do something, so he went only 1 semester the second year. And in February of must have been 70, he joined the United States Navy. And he went into the submarine system. He served 21 years, which he always said was 4 years for each brother. And then that gave him 5, because none of the other boys ever joined service. Okay, then none of the kids really went to college other than Larry. Wayne started out in a shop where the plastics he picked up as his line of work, and the managing part seemed to be what he could do. Devon, he was a draftsman. He liked to draw plans, and he used to ride his motorcycle out north of town to go to work. I think all 5 of the boys had a motorcycle in times of their life, and probably all of them had an accident, which seems to go with motorcycles. Jimmy did go to Word of Life Bible Institute up in Glen Falls, New York. He went a full year. Then Karen nobody went to college. Brian played football at Concord, and he had a slight injury. I think it was very slight. Anyway, it slowed his career down. But they all graduated from Concord High School. I'm glad we moved there so that they could all go to Concord. It was, I don't know, I think it was much better for us than Elkhart would have been at that time.
Well, one thing, when we moved to the Circle Lane where we lived at,
Oh, Circle R Lane.
Circle R Lane, it was, the driveway was kind of slow. And was it Wayne that did that? Or they built themselves a skateboard that you see nowadays? There's so many of them, but there was just this one. And you might have said there would have been a project as far as something to do. But yeah, they built that skateboard and sliding down the driveway and what have you. That's one thing I remember about them.
I don't remember anything other than they were all in the band. We weren't sports, which it was hard for me to rationalize with Dad being a basketball player and a baseball player for his school. Larry was a manager for the basketball team for 2 years, but other than that, we were all in the band, and Mr. Bikeman was always taking us almost every weekend. We'd go to another city close by where they were having a parade for something, and we did. We were good. We looked good. And I can't remember anything specific other than that.
Well, they were what you say so good that they got the trophies for their
Oh yeah.
for their band and their parades that they got. They went to a number of places with a parade. I had a job at a tool and die shop,
C&B.
C&B mouthpiece, and I worked there for a while. Then I got put out because the son came there to work, and they said they didn't have any more place for me, and so I was put out of that place. I got a job at Studebaker's, worked at Studebaker's for about 2 years.
That's the car Studebaker.
Yeah, Studebaker's car. And I got laid off of there because the thing was going downhill. And for some reason, 3 stuck in my mind. And I had gone to 2 other places after that to try to get a job. And my 3rd place was Star Machine in Elkhart. And I got a job there at Star Machine. I ran a shaper, and I worked up there for 20-some years.
Yeah.
20-some years. And then Wayne and I just were trying to get a new extrusion shop. And this is kind of a break off of me from there. And I still work there, and it kind of got a little itchy. because they knew I was doing something else, but it wasn't anything that was taking away from that shop. And so I had to leave there. We picked up a lathe, we picked up a Bridgeport, and then a grinder, a surface grinder, to work with building dies for the extrusion. That was it. From there, we came here. Wayne came here first, got a job, called me up, told me to get ready to come down there. Did we go down there first, or?
I know, you came down. You moved he and Linda furniture.
Okay, yeah. We moved Linda, Wayne's wife, and then I was interviewed there. They decided they were going to put in a little shop, extrusion shop. They were mostly blow mold machines and what have you. And they were kind of itching a little to try to get a different line, but it wasn't working out for them. And Wayne and I decided we will buy the machine and go somewhere else and start our own shop. That's where we started Sunbelt 209.
No, so
Extrusion.
Okay, I worked from that day after graduation until February the 10th of 1949. And my baby was due in 3 months, and I quit. Well, I took maternity leave, but I just didn't feel I would go back. I would be a mother. And so that quit the C.G. Con deal. Later years, after I had had all 6 of the kids, I saw somebody from the shop, and they said, why don't you come out and see if there's something you can do, like covering vacation periods, covering sick leaves, and I did. I worked in the personnel department. I worked in the mail room, and the best part of the mail room was walking the entire factory, delivering the mail, and seeing all these people that I had known from years ago. And then when Larry was a freshman in high school, we moved into Concord School District. And I had been working in the library and doing the secretarial work. And I just felt that it was time for me to leave the school. Wayne was coming along, and he was having some problems with me being there. I don't know whether it was I saw too much of him, what he could have been doing, I don't know. He didn't like that I was there. So in September, I went to an employment office and took a test, and I was good in the math part. Of course, math was my favorite subject, the bookkeeping and the figures and all. And so I took a lead and went over to CG Con, and they hired me, and I started in the personnel department as the insurance clerk. And then I got transferred a couple years later into the accounting department, and then I would check the orders that we had placed, like with Borneman's, which was the tool shop of the city, with how many they shipped to us, and did they charge us the right figure, and I was going to pay this amount on the 10th of the month. So I worked that then until I quit, and I was very surprised. I learned I had worked long enough that I got a pension. 10 years, and I was pensioned. So now I get a check every month from CG Con Pension Fund. Yes, well, as you can see me sitting here with quilt blocks, I make quilts. I have a Gammo sewing machine that I do the stitching with now. It's not hand stitch anymore, but I've made over 100 quilts in my lifetime. Try to give one to all the kids. I haven't got them all the first one, but I have a few that have gotten their second one already.
I have a stamp collection, and I trade with a number of fellas around the United States. I have one lady in
New Zealand.
New Zealand that I trade with her. She sends me stamps of New Zealand mainly. So I did, what else?
When you were able, you loved to pitch horseshoes.
Yeah, I pitched horseshoes when I was able. That's been years ago. Now I probably couldn't pitch a very far. When we were still young enough, I was still playing some softball with Wayne, and we would be going around different places and playing. And then it got a little bit. I was still at Star
Sunbelt.
Machine. No, I mean Sunbelt Plastics, and it got to be pretty expensive, and I didn't care for it. But anyhow,
And the church used to have a good slow pitch softball, and they were city champs a number of times. And that's where Dad got a good nickname. Those ball players still call him Pop. And I'm still Mom. But when you go with them every week, you do get a connection. So. Oh, one year we started with a tent that we got in January. I don't know where we heard about it, but it was $20 for this tent with the big pitched roof, and then it had an extra room on it. So for 8 of us, that worked fine. And we bought thin foam that we'd lay on the ground, and we bought, I think, 6 sleeping bags that we could zip them big so that the boys could sleep like 3 to 2 bags that were zipped, and Karen then slept in Dad's and my big bag that was zipped. And we took them to Florida, we took them to Texas, we took them to California. I wanted to see America. Before I went on any boat, on any cruise, I wanted to see America first. I haven't seen it all, and I won't get to because I don't travel today. But I wanted to travel and see, and therefore my kids got to see. I
we got
remember
the
taking.
Yellowstone National Park,
Oh yeah, Washington D.C.
Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah. We didn't sleep in a tent at California, but Russ's mom lived there, and she rented an apartment so that we would have cooking facilities if we needed it, and enough room for 8 of us. And she took us to Disney World.
You know, Also the Rose Bowl.
Oh, yes, we sat in that Rose Bowl stadium. The only people, but we were there. Yeah. In Washington, D.C., I like that
Yeah.
for the kids. It's so hard to not know an area well enough, but to follow directions and, oh, we got to be in that left lane. And
There was, which one was it? We wanted to get into and see it. I don't know how many times we drove around before
to make
we
the right.
discovered how to get into it. It just where the entrance was, like it just wasn't there when we wanted it.
What was that black and white one?
Studebaker.
A Studebaker. It had 3 seats, and that must have been when we had a tent. We didn't have to have the foam, but I think we started with the tent, and then we went to a small camper, and then we went to a bigger camper, and finally we ended up with one that we could cook inside, and the wings went out enough that the kids could sleep out there, and we still had a little bit of eating room in the middle there. But I couldn't count, maybe 4 or 5 different camping arrangements we had had over the years.
Jaco.
Jaco, yes, that was one of them. I would think our lighthouse trips
All right.
that we used to, at least once a month, we would take a trip. We
A lot
have
of East
seen
Coast.
almost total East
Yeah.
Coast.
So the south over to Texas.
Yes. We've seen Point Loma in California, but that was because it was by Uncle Larry the last Christmas we had with them when they lived in California, and he took us to see the sunset. And we sat there looking at the west, and Point Loma was right behind us. In
All the
fact-
Great Lakes lighthouses.
Oh, yes.
That's where the most are.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start with Larry. He has Katie, Meg, and Ben. Wayne had Amy, Brenda, and Kara. Devon had Daniel, Darcy, and David. Jimmy had Craig, but then he married later on and had Donovan and Deanna. Well, that marriage didn't work. Now he has Diana and Laura. Karen had Sarah, Adam, and Aaron. And Brian, he has 6 children. He has Elizabeth, Jennifer by his wife Karen. That marriage didn't work either, and he married Kim, and they had Tara, Michael, Thomas, and Joel. So there's 21 grandchildren in the picture today, and Amy, the oldest, tells me I'm 45, and Joel, the youngest, is 25.
There was a time that Margaret and I had problems, and just didn't get them sound too easy. I went out of the house, got in the car, just drove away. Something told me to turn around, and I turned around. I wound up at high school, Elkhart High. They were having
Youth for Christ.
Youth for Christ. There was a fellow there that was speaking from, I believe it was either Belgium or right around there, I believe, or one of them countries. And he was telling the story of the Germans and how they would come there. They would hide him in the basement underneath the kitchen table. And the Germans didn't believe him, or believe them, or the parents, about him being there. They just derided it. And the story that he had there got onto me, and I went forward at Youth for Christ and accepted Christ. Well, then from there was a fellow at the shop, Star Machine, fellow by the name of Creek Bob. He was kind of a funny person. Anyhow, we got to talking and this and that, and he suggested that I should change churches. We were going to the Castle EUB there in Elkhart. He says I should change churches. So we went to the First Baptist Church, UT Hall was preaching there. And we went there, I went forward, and we were, I was baptized there in his church. And that's where we went for a number of years.
Yeah. I, at Castle, we were just sort of 12 years old and we joined church. But while I was standing there at the altar at that service, something just said to me, you know, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to do something, have something in here, not just a ceremony that I'm joining a church. And I feel that was the day that it worked out for me, that the Lord became a part of my life. So I was 12. Then when we changed churches, I remember being baptized in the baptistry. The pulpit was in the middle and the baptistry was on the floor over here. And that's where Dad and I were baptized. When you let the Lord become a part of your life, it's got to be more than just saying or letting other people think you're saved just because you're in church today. I just felt that I had a chore, an obligation to fill and follow his leading. I remember one time we used to go to Youth for Christ quite regularly. And the leaders were young, which attracted the young people. And we used to fill the auditorium on a Saturday night. And one Saturday night, I just felt the Lord was calling me to be a missionary. But here I had 4 little boys and no training, and I didn't know what to do, so I went to my pastor and we talked it over, And he said, well, Margaret, he says, with your situation, I think you need to tell the Lord that you're willing to do whatever he wants you to do, but you don't feel led to be an on-field missionary. And from that day on, I don't know, I've been Sunday school teachers, I've been in a group where I tried to help children with music beginning, and just we had the young girls with a club that met on Monday night. That was really good. They really dug into the Bible and were studying things. But you just do what you are able to do with the setting that you have. Yeah. All 6 of our children have accepted their Lord and have a mate that like kinds. You know, they join, they're a team. Some of our grandchildren, I don't think, have accepted the Lord as a serious subject in their lives. And they're the ones I have to pray for. I know the Lord is going to come and it's not going to be too far, so we got to get them on the boat to go with us. Okay. There was a good group of boys in the high school basketball team. Grandpa was one of them. I don't know how the tie-in came, other than maybe the daughter of our Sunday school teacher. She was quite sweet. She was a good girl. And she influenced those boys. We had, I would say, 7 of the high school basketball team attend our youth Sunday school class. So why couldn't you pick one of those for yours? Yeah, we didn't get started as that group. It was at Christmas time when the girls' missionary group, which I was president of, was having their Christmas caroling group. We would fix up a shoebox of things from our home, like homemade cookies, a nice apple, and different things to fill the shoebox. And then we'd go to the shut-ins from church and we would sing. Well, naturally, young girls wouldn't have enjoyed that by themselves, so we invited the young boys to go with us. Well, Grandpa was going with my best friend, who was the treasurer of the missionary group, and Audrey and I were very, very close. And somehow somebody brought mistletoe to the caroling group, and the mistletoe got used.
We got put in a closet.
We got closed in the primary department closet, and we shared our first kiss under the mistletoe. That's how Grandpa and I got together. He still dated Audrey, but they sort of fell off. I don't think I had anything to do with the falling off, but in the spring then, being as I worked at Cons, we were going to have a girls' ball team. And so I went out. Well, dummy me, I wore a dress to a ball practice because that was in the days before girls wore slacks out in public. Maybe at home, but not out in public. And Grandpa was at the house, and he saw me out there in the field.
With my binoculars.
And after the practice, he stopped me because I had to go back to the shop and get my things to go home. And I I don't think we did anything more than talk and visit. But this was in April.
Well, I just, after I picked her up, I got more acquainted and to get with her and drop Audrey. And things kept working out. Kept getting her to go out. I got her to go out. And it just kept going more regular. And that's when we decided we could get married.
And we were married that July.
Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far. Like a song of love that clings to me, how the thought of you does things to me. Never before has someone been more unforgettable in every way. And forevermore, that's how you stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. Unforgettable in every way, and forevermore, that's how you stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too.